I broke up with my ex Ryan because I found him on Tinder talking to other women. I moved out of his house and I'm living in my own apartment. A few days ago Ryan messaged me begging me back. Ryan said he was sorry and that he wants to get back together. I told him I needed space. He asked if I was seeing anybody and I said no. Ryan told me I'm not seeing anybody either, I'm still so in love with you. Yesterday when I was walking back from the grocery store I saw Ryan at the Wendy's parking lot with another woman. At first I assumed she was a friend until they started kissing. For my own amusement I stealthily walked up to the car and knocked on his window. Ryan was so shocked he put his car in reverse and hit something. He drove off and later texted me that I needed to pay for the damages. I blocked him. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, you did not damage the car, he did. You knocked on the window. And he didn't accidentally put it in reverse, cars don't work that way, either it was in reverse and he let go of the brake, then panicked and hit the gas, or he quickly put it in reverse to get away from you. But he is the one that caused all the damage. Your title is totally misleading and if you keep stating it like that your ex could take screenshots and go after you in small claims. In truth, all you did was knock on his window. He did the actual damage and is totally responsible for all the damage he caused. He did it on his own, not your fault. He got into an accident on his own because you scared him by knocking on the window. Don't pay for the damage. He's the idiot for trying to get you back together while he's still on the sly. Glad you guys broke up. Not the idiot, and also imagining this gave me the laugh I really needed for today. I choose to believe his eyes went wide with shock and fear, and he ran over some very loud metal trash cans in his mad dash for safety. Lack of embarrassment. Reading this I assumed you'd keyed his car or something. You didn't do anything to his car. Not only are you not at fault morally, there's no court that would hold you legally accountable either. I, 36, work at a company and recently we had a new employee join our department, Pam. Most my co-workers are moms. They suggested that we gather at lunch break and start conversations with Pam and get to know her more. Pam was friendly, we started talking about our typical day-to-day routine. When it was my turn I answered saying that I wake up at 6 a.m. Clean up, make breakfast, get the kids ready, then take them to school, then pick them up from school after work, then do chores, then clean, then do laundry. Pam interrupted me saying, wow. So your husband is one of those useless overgrown man-children that women try to parent along with their children. Then, everyone was like, I was taken aback, but said, actually my husband is severely disabled, he can't work or do chores or childcare. She made a face and replied, oh well, my point still stands, that you're basically living as a single mother except, at least your husband is not entirely useless in this case, and does bring something to the table which is social security disability benefits I suppose, but I'm sure it doesn't make up for him being an absent father and husband due to his disability. I got extremely offended that she was talking about my husband, the love of my life and father of my children like that. The ladies were like, oh my god. I said I didn't appreciate how she spoke about my husband and she shrugged saying, well, I wasn't technically lying, right? But people like your husband, there's really no point of being married. If you're acting like a single mom then might as well become one or go look for a real life partner. I just lashed out asking what the hell she was talking about and explained the important role my husband still has in mine and my children's life. I called her rude and disrespectful for how she was talking about him and how she belittled him as a husband and a father and told her that her remarks about my husband could be nothing more than projection on her part. She laughed and said, huh. My husband is a doctor, that much is enough. Need I say more? I asked if her husband cooks and cleans after he gets home. Then looked at her eyes and said, the tiredness in your eyes suggests that all housework and childcare fall on you alone, correct? She was red in the face. She got quiet, looked around, then got up and excused herself to the toilet looking upset. The lady said that Pam has her own beliefs or visions about disabled partners, should be, which is understandable, and she was just giving her honest opinion, but I took it too far by humiliating her and assuming her husband isn't doing anything. But according to her reaction the answer was clear to me. They thought I shouldn't have spoken to our new co-worker in a mean way and should have taken what she said with a grain of salt as it wasn't personal. They wanted me to apologize, but I said I won't apologize for what I said, even if I was rude. My co-worker's argument is that they too received harsh comments from Pam, but didn't take it personally since they were venting about their husbands. Not the idiot. So here's what you learned about Pam today. Pam is an ableist. She's also a judgmental hypocrite who likely has one by one destroyed each of your coworkers in one way or another, so often that they just shrug and say, "That's how she is." Here's what you've learned about your coworkers today. Your coworkers accept judgmental behavior as that's the way it is and protect her from being hurt. They have accepted her behavior to the point where she is okay to humiliate others, but if she gets embarrassed, they protect her. I don't consider what you said rude, and I wouldn't apologize. Looks like karma has already found her, but she didn't learn. First off, Pam was extremely rude with how she just spoke about your husband like that, as if she completely knows what your family life is like. She is also clearly ableist, and that by itself makes her the idiot in this scenario. Also, you should get new friends. I cannot fathom why they would urge you of all people to apologize after they heard the bullcrap Pam has been spouting. Based on how they reacted, they might even agree with her. On top of her unbelievably inappropriate commentary, Pam was clearly looking for an opening to tell you all that her husband is a doctor like a dog looking for a treat to mark to assert their dominance. Good on you for immediately asserting that you will not be her target. I've worked with a Pam or two, and the way to handle them if the behavior continues is to give them abundant professional distance, essentially be cold yet professional. Sometimes they also prove to be puffing their chest up to cover their incompetence, in which case these problems have a way of solving themselves. My girlfriend, 31, of 8 months asked me, 36, a week ago how I'd feel about her moving in with me. She'd been dropping hints that this might be coming for the 2 weeks leading up to this, so it wasn't completely out of the blue. I told her I'd like that, but I'd feel better about it if we entered into a formal financial agreement beforehand. This is similar to a prenuptial agreement. She asked me if I was serious, and when I said I was, she went all quiet and said she had to leave before she said anything we both might regret. We were out having dinner at the time, no restrictions where we live. We spoke on the phone the next day where the crux was she felt I didn't care for her or trust her. I told her I did, but just felt the financial agreement would be a sensible thing. We haven't spoken directly since, as she won't pick up my calls. A few days ago I sent her a message saying I'm still happy to talk this through. Unfortunately, I have copped a deluge of negative comments from her friends and family. Quite hurtful comments with a lot of name calling. For context, I lost my wife and child in an accident 7 years ago, and the only silver lining, if you can call it that, was the insurance and court case meant I could pay out my mortgage. I also have a well-paying job and live quite comfortably. I only started dating again since the accident in the past 3 years, and this girlfriend is the first person I've wanted to have a relationship with. Part of me feels like an idiot because I never meant to cause all this. Part of me feels like it is still the right thing to do. I would be sincerely indebted for some objective feedback from people who have no emotional investment in this issue. So, am I the idiot as all these people suggest? Not the idiot. It may come off as a little insensitive to her, but I 100% understand your reasoning and do not blame you. I would do the same with any girlfriend moving forward. If they truly care for you, then after a good explanation of your reasons, they wouldn't deny this as a condition of moving in. Though maybe in the future, worded in some way that sounds less like a business transaction. Hey, I really would love for you to move in. I do have one thing first, you'll have to sign saying you won't take the house I shared memories with my daughter away from me or some such. Perhaps just a verbal conversation on how bills would be divided would have been perceived better. Although, I understand a verbal conversation wouldn't have included any sort of protection for you. I feel this girlfriend is showing her true colors if her reaction is to not pick up when you call. She also invited herself. That makes me skeptical. If this was her reaction, if you had asked her to move in, then maybe she would think you were giving mixed signals. Move in, but I don't 100% trust where this light ends. However, since she brought up moving into your place and is acting this way, be careful. This is a huge red flag to me. Does she love rushing into things, or does she feel she has something to gain from this? This is a completely sensible and reasonable request on your behalf. I can appreciate she might feel insulted, but if she can't listen or try to see it from your perspective and want to give you that peace of mind and security, then she's probably not worth the long term. The idea of another woman essentially profiting off of your wife and child's passing is horrendous and deplorable. How dare her family tries to guilt you into this, it actually makes me feel sick. If anything, both your girlfriend and her family's reactions should be ringing alarm bells for you. The wedding was my cousin's, 30, and his now wife, 27. I've, 31, always been close to my cousin because we grew up on the same street and we would hang out at each other's houses a lot growing up. We still talk regularly now. Due to certain global issues, not a lot of my family have seen my daughter in the last couple years. Unfortunately, she's not keen on dressing up. Due to it being an important occasion, I wanted her to dress nicely. The only way she would agree to dress up was if she matched me and her daddy, 31. We sat together and shopped online for our outfits. She wore a little version of my jumpsuit. The jumpsuits were seafoam green with a little white heart pattern over it. I thought we looked cute together. We even got my husband a matching tie. When we turned up at the wedding, my mum and some other family wanted pictures of us, my husband, myself and my daughter, together. This was before the church ceremony, while we were waiting outside before being seated. We were not the only ones taking photos, lots of others were taking selfies and group photos as well. We weren't late getting into the church either. It was a truly lovely wedding ceremony, and the reception was decorated beautifully. At the reception, people commented on our outfits. I didn't think anything of it, as it's normal to compliment other people's outfits. I know it's generally my go-to compliment, especially if I don't know the person well. My cousin called me during the week and said that his wife was upset with my behavior at the wedding. She thinks I wore a matching outfit with my daughter to draw attention away from her. It's so bizarre to me because she was absolutely gorgeous in her dress. She honestly looked like she had stepped out of a magazine. Did I commit a massive social mistake? Am I the idiot? How do I apologize or talk to her about this? Not the idiot. I'd just let her know it was completely unintentional, apologize if I made you feel bad in any way, and let her know that to you, she was gorgeous and the star of the show. Maybe then just ask her if there is anything you can do to make her feel better. Sometimes there isn't anything, but just asking this question makes people feel better because it demonstrates the speaker cares and desires to fix things. You haven't explained what kind of person she is, so it's hard to more specifically advise how to fix things. Not sure if this will work, but worth a shot. In my family's culture, whenever there's a wedding or a big holiday celebration, people from the same family or close friends will all get outfits made from the same patterned material. To be honest, it sounds like the bride's just insecure and was looking for someone to take it out on. It's not like you and your daughter showed up in matching white ball gowns. The bride just needs to chill the hell out. I mean, the only rule I know is to not wear white. It's pretty common for families to coordinate. I see no issue. It's also common for families to take photos since everyone is dressed up. Heck, every wedding I've been to, we've done that. When my sister-in-law's mom got remarried, we all did group photos. Few years back, we're all close. Everyone got different combos. Sister-in-law had the photographer take photos of all the families to ensure everyone had a nice family photo. My boyfriend, 28, and I, 25, have been living together for about 6 months now. We have been together for 2 years. Before moving in together, he always talked about how clean he was and how it bothered him that his roommate never did the dishes and how he is always picking up after him. His place was pretty clean. He has lately picked up more hours at his job, working 50-60 hours a week. I should add that his hourly wage is much higher than mine, and the extra hours are not benefiting anyone but himself. Him and I are still putting in the same amount on money into our account each check. He isn't putting extra money towards his child support, he is putting it towards paying off his car, which I understand is important. I work a swing shift and work 40 hours a week. He is usually very tired when he gets home, and so am I, but because I am home before he is, and he's never up to cook when he gets home or ever, I have been preparing meals for us cause I gotta eat something. We have different days off, so I clean the house, do the dishes and laundry and all that regular stuff on my days off. He attempts to start the dishes, but stops halfway and calls it good. He does laundry, but leaves the clean clothes in a pile on our bed and calls it good, cleans the countertops and calls it cleaning the house on his days off. He says he will do it when I go to sleep. I sleep early for work, but ends up napping on the couch with me, and in order for me to sleep on the bed I end up having to fold laundry. Half the dishes he starts gets left in the sink until my day off comes around, and I'm left to finish the dishes he left plus the dishes accumulated during the days that I worked. I once left an empty bag of fast food that he had left on the table for a week to see if he would ever just pick it up and toss it in the trash, but he looks at it and continues on his day for 7 days until I told him that I left it there on purpose, and he just said guess I failed the test. I told him that I don't want to be his mom just cause we live together now. He is now upset with me. Am I the idiot for not wanting to be his mom? Not the idiot. I'm willing to cut him a little slack because after a 50-60 hour week, he probably is genuinely exhausted. But that does not give him the right to make unilateral decisions and foist all the housework on you. You two need to sit down and have a mature discussion about how you see this working out, but first, you need to figure out what you're willing to accept or not. If he's working late and can't cook, maybe he picks up dinner for you both sometimes. Or maybe he only works overtime on certain days and you divide chores based on that schedule. And regardless, he definitely needs to be able to step up more on his days off. He's upset because you called him out on his behavior, but you're right. He's taking for granted that you will clean up after him and take care of him and not appreciating how much that adds to your workload. He may be working more paid hours than you, but that's for his own benefit and it doesn't release him from his household responsibilities. If he can't handle the extra hours and do his part, maybe he needs to cut back or use some of that extra money to hire an actual maid. If your boyfriend wants to work more hours at work to make more money for himself, that is fine. However, if it impacts the obligations he has in his personal life, that's when it becomes a problem. If he can't work more hours and have energy to put towards contributing to chores, then he shouldn't be working that much, assuming of course that you two can afford for him to work less. Even if he absolutely needs to work more hours, he should still find ways to contribute.